Welcome to Resolving Reality, an independent Irish media platform. In this second video episode, I explore the very serious and divisive issue of abortion, which has recently become legal in Ireland. My guest for this subject is Laura Klassen, who is the founder and director of a Canadian pro-life organisation called Choice for Two. Visit the Choice for Two website, choicefor2.com. You can find more information, videos and their social media profiles, and those links are down below in the description. This is Resolving Reality. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe, and visit our website, resolvingreality.com. Okay, Laura Klassen, welcome to Resolving Reality.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Cool, no worries, my pleasure. Good to talk to you finally. So, well, I know a little bit about your background and Choice for Two, of course, but just for the benefit of the viewers, tell us a little bit about how and why you set up this organisation.
I set it up initially when I was volunteering at my local pregnancy resource center, and I realized there was kind of a gap between the women who were facing an unplanned pregnancy and the centers that were there to actually help them. So we made the Choice for Two database so that women can just go on there and find their local centers. The other side of Choice for Two, why we started it, was because Canada has no abortion law, and I was really shocked that most Canadians don't know that we don't have a law. So I just wanted to bring awareness and get people talking about it here in Canada.
Yeah, and it's a great website you have. I had a good look around, and I actually found you when I was looking for someone who was pro-life. It was in the back of my mind, I need a guest to talk about this because abortion has recently become legal in Ireland, like I said in our correspondence. I found you on Twitter of all places, and I found you one of the fantastic videos, and I thought, what's going on here? I had a look. It was great. They're very funny and very to the point, very sarcastic, which is good, and very informative as well. And they kind of break down the logic of the so-called pro-choice camp. So tell us how and where you came up with the idea for doing the videos.
Yeah, so those videos with the pink hair, I guess you're talking about those ones. They are the Just Saying videos, and yeah, we're just using satire to kind of go after the rhetoric of the pro-choice side, all the things that they like to throw at you as their arguments. So the first one was my body, my choice. And so we kind of broke that down and really showed that no, you're not aborting your own body, you're aborting another person's body. So that was the first one. The really popular one right now is the magical birth canal, which shows that you're not a human being until you've come through the magical birth canal and you're born, which is kind of having another round now that the states have, I don't know if you heard what's going on in New York, but legalized abortion all the way up to 9 months. So politicians believe this, apparently, that you don't become a human until you've exited your mother's body, which is ridiculous. So that's what that video was about. And yeah, we're just going after these little sayings and making videos from them. And yep, they're short and funny and colorful, and it's working.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think they do the job really well, and I am familiar with satire, and it's a great way of having a real substance and a point, something to say, mixed with comedy is a good way of getting the message out there. Do you have a little background in comedy or drama or anything? That as far as I'm going to pry, but I just thought she's pretty good with jokes and stuff like that. Oh
yeah, well I worked in theater professionally for the last about 10 years, but I actually work in opera. So wow. Yeah, there's a lot of comedy in opera, and yeah, I've always been doing the acting thing, and so yeah, I've training and all that.
Cool, yeah, I noticed because I'm familiar with that background, so I thought well, it came in handy in this instance.
Yeah,
and yeah, and to look at the just the background for, especially for Irish people who will watch this, and just tell them a little bit about how it rolls in Canada. I know it's legal since 1969, I believe. And like, what's it like kind of statistics wise? I mean, how many abortions are there? How common is it? And, you know, how do people feel about it in general?
Right. So 1969, it became legal, but there was a rule where, well, a law, that the woman would have to present her case before a panel of doctors, and they would decide whether the abortion was necessary. And then in '88, that law was struck down, and it was supposed to be replaced with another law, and it just never was. So we actually here have abortion all 9 months on demand, and it's paid for by our tax dollars. In terms of stats, we don't even know, because those numbers are not available to us. The abortion clinics are not even required to report their stats. So there's an estimate, a very conservative estimate, of about 100,000 abortions per year, but in reality, it's probably at least double.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And so, yeah, and I suppose it must be definitely part of the culture then. It's not like people don't raise an eyebrow if someone
Right.
says they want to go for one. And I suppose it's all down to personal choice then, isn't it? Like,
oh, yeah. Well, and the thing too is, so people don't realize that we don't have a law. That's the first part. And then when they find out that there is no law, like, they just do not believe that it could be happening past, like, whatever the number is in their mind, like 12 weeks, 24 weeks, you know, they all have this cutoff for some reason that they think is the cutoff, and it's actually not. And yeah, it is very, very pro-abortion, and the government is very supportive of abortion, and it's just really maddening. That's kind of the first suggestion to any woman who's facing an unplanned pregnancy. It's like, well, of course you'll be getting an abortion. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's so it's not a level playing field at all. And I was going to ask you that. I mean, obviously you decided to create Choice for Two because you obviously felt that the whole landscape needed another voice almost.
Yeah, exactly. Because, well, you know, when a woman's facing an unplanned pregnancy, she'll go online these days to find help. And all that was popping up was all of the abortion clinics. And so now we're popping up, you know, Google ads and all that kind of thing. So just really trying to show that no, abortion's not your only option, you know, and there's a whole network of Canadians that will help you to either parent or help you through the adoption process.
Mm-hmm. And what about you know, because it's just new in Ireland, we don't have that reference of statistics and past cases and stuff. We have to refer to the UK, obviously, where it's been legal for quite a while. And from what I know about there with the statistics, it's you know, mostly what they call over there, cleverly, social abortions. You know, that's how they phrase it. So is it similar like that in Canada, where it's just they're healthy babies, but like women just don't want to have them for whatever reason?
Yeah, well, it's not, I mean, social abortion isn't really a term over here. It's more just about the whole women's empowerment and feminism, and you don't want to be pregnant, and abortion is your perfect answer.
Yeah. Don't worry, we'll come back to the feminism thing later, of course. Well, that's key. You can't. It's the elephant in the room, you know. Yeah. And another one, just out of curiosity, because in Ireland, the so-called pro-choice camp, I like calling the pro-abortion camp because that's what it is. But they were dismissing their opponents. You know, anyone who was opposed to abortion is doing it on religious grounds. You know, the good old Irish Catholic thing. Is it like that at all in Canada? Is there a religious dynamic here to the kind of anti-abortion crowd, or is it just it doesn't come into it? You know, religion.
It does. There's a pretty strong Catholic opposition, and I'm happy to say now more of the evangelical Christians as well are starting to get a little more involved. So that's encouraging. It's basically been the Catholics carrying it for the past 50 years. So now we're seeing new groups come in, which is very encouraging.
Yeah. And me personally, I don't identify as a Christian, even though I come from a Catholic background, but to me, it doesn't matter. This is a moral issue almost.
Oh, yeah.
And if it takes someone's religious belief to do the right thing, well, then fine. I don't mind where it comes from, as long as the right decision has been made in the end.
For sure. Yeah. So, and Choice for Two, like, we're not a religious organization. So, because we don't need to, our reasons for being pro-life are not religious, they are scientific, and it being a human rights issue rather than a religious issue.
Yeah, that's good. I had to check that because here, when we had the referendum last year, of course, all the progressives, I call them, the cultural Marxist types and all this, they want to change society, and one of the parts of the whole transformation process was obviously legalizing abortion, and they make it sound like this cool hip sort of thing. And if you're against it, you're old school, you're Catholic, you belong in the old Ireland. But what's it been like there? Because Canada doesn't have such as long of a history as ours. Kind of. Do you get a lot of that stuff where people are saying, "Oh, this is the new way. This is the modern way of doing things," and if you're against abortion, it's kind of old school.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's how it has been. But I think that we're on the brink of a change of that, actually. Now, just because of kind of so many younger women, really, who are now being quite vocal about being pro-life, and just showing that it's actually cool to be pro-life. Like, we're all about, like, not killing people. So I think we are starting to see a change, because it has been the opposite. And that whole oh, you're pro-life, so you're an old religious white man. Like, I get called an old religious white man all the time if I'm ever communicating with someone who can't see me, and I'm like, well, no. So there is a huge stereotype. Yeah.
You might as well just go along with it. When they say, well, you must be an old religious white man, you say, yes, I am. Yes, I am. 100%. Just give in. So that's good. That's kind of a nice overview of how things kind of go over there. And it's, well, of course, it's not all one-sided, but then, like you mentioned, you've got the state are clearly pro-abortion, and clearly, they're happy to promote it and facilitate it. We're getting some of that here as well. And how does the state and your opponents or whatever, how did they react to Choice for Two? How did they kind of treat you in the media and stuff like that?
Well, it's a total media blackout on anything pro-life here in Canada. So, we're just starting to see that change a little bit, which is really cool. Like, for example, at our annual March for Life, we usually have somewhere between 10 and 20,000 people. So not huge, but like, the media does not touch it. Whereas you'll have like maybe 1,000 people show up to a women's march and they're all over it. So that's kind of how it's working here. Choice for Two, we've been censored a lot, like social media censorship, but not the government. Like, the government hasn't really had anything to do with us, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, if you can achieve your goals without them, absolutely, because you're dealing with a lot of I call them ideologically compromised people. If they're very pro-abortion, you don't want them anywhere near, any of the groups at all, because they'll get in there and start to cause problems. And what about the industry side of things? Is there money changing hands with abortions? Do people make money off it? I heard in the States there's a so-called abortion industry. Is it similar to that in Canada?
I'm sure it is, but this, again, like, because we don't have the stats, we can't, we're so in the dark on as to what's happening. I'm sure it's a money game here. We just don't have the information on that.
Yeah. It's hard to know. Well, it doesn't mean it's not happening behind the scenes somehow, like maybe...
Well, like with the, selling of baby parts in the States, I'm sure it's got to be happening up here, where we have no restriction on abortion. So abortions can be happening at any point. Like, we'd be naive to think that it's not happening here.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure there's always people trying to make money off things. So if they can make money off this, they're gonna. And Canada, from what you said, from the legal point of view, like it says on the website, you're the only Western country who doesn't have any laws at all. So the profiteering types will definitely like roll on up there and try to get something out of this situation, capitalize on it, you know.
I'm sure, yeah.
So let's look at the reasons then. You know, in your experience, what reasons push women, or what makes them consider like having an abortion then?
Number one reason, hands down, would be pressure or coercion from the father of the baby or the woman's parents. That, I mean, we talk to women all the time, right? That's what we do. We connect them to their local resources. But that is the number one reason. And it's funny that people say like, oh, it's a woman's choice. And then, yes, it is her choice. She is the one walking in there and having this abortion. But everything behind that choice, like, it's not a choice. You have, you know, threats and married women who I've talked to whose husbands say, you know, they'll divorce them if they don't abort the baby. Like, it's that extreme. And so, yeah, that's the number one reason.
Yeah, because it's part of the culture there, and it's so legal. The ones who are doing the coercing now, all they have to do is push, and if the woman gives in to the pressure, then it's so easy for her to go and just, you know, make it happen, so to speak.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and what about some of the other reasons then? Because especially with the pro-abortion side will often chuck out lots of different reasons. They'll bring up things like, they'll bring up rape, and of course that's connected to the feminist thing. We've got things like, you know, babies with, you know, abnormalities in the fetus, things like that. You know, what are the other big reasons, and how do they kind of rank?
There is no other big reason, to be honest. That is the one. It's probably like 95%. In terms of rape, the interesting thing about that is every single woman that we've connected with and women that I know who have become pregnant by rape, they have all chosen to keep their baby. And I think people might be shocked to learn that because there's such a stigma against that, of carrying a rapist child to term, and then that's your rape baby. And it's interesting to see that that's not how these women are thinking about it. They're realizing that this is another victim in the situation, and you know, getting an abortion doesn't unrape a woman. It just adds more trauma to an already like hugely traumatic experience. So yeah, and again, you know, the amount, I mean, it's estimated that it's like less than 1% of abortions are happening, you know, in the case of rape, which is everyone's favorite reason for why we need abortion. Yeah, and then, I'm not sure, what was the other one?
And I was sorry. I was going to check if there's check it. That's great. I was going to check if there's any other reasons as well that are kind of you know, why a woman would choose an abortion. Any other key ones?
I mean, just being, you know, young, not ready to be a parent. Like really young, we have a bunch of kids writing in, you know, 14, 15, I'm pregnant. What do I do? So, and then of course they're heavily pressured by their parents and everyone to get an abortion. So that, and then I think especially, well, here in Canada, is a baby that's not part of the plan. Like you'll have a married couple, they wanted 2 kids, they had 2 kids, and now there's a third, and so they're going to abort the third because it wasn't part of the plan. That's also pretty common, and like, which blows my mind, because if you've had children already and you've seen that baby on the ultrasound, and like, you know what's going on, so it's mind-blowing to me that those people would then go in and abort their third child.
Yeah, yet it's even more of a stretch to imagine how they could go and actually do it, because they already have emotional connections with their current kids.
Yeah.
I suppose that's what happens in a culture where if it starts to become more and more accepted and it's no big deal, people can almost convince themselves it's okay, and then they'll just go and do it, you know, on the spot.
Yep. It's it's a huge mess.
Yeah. Well, all right, let's get into the feminist thing, because that's really important. And my last interview was about one of the last ones is about feminism, which is just about to be released, actually. And it really is the key to a lot of this, because when we mentioned, you said the number one reason, I can't talk, so I'm starting to fall asleep now. The number one reason for it is coercion, but also the rape thing is wheeled out quite a lot. And obviously the feminists can't be trusted because they're ideologically motivated, and they bring out the rape thing because they think that will scare everybody into agreeing with legalizing abortion. But what they're doing is they create that rape culture thing and generate the hype and make it seem like rape is happening all the time, And I mean, I suppose the abortion issue and feminism, they go hand in hand in all the Western countries I know of. So it must be the same there as well, yeah?
Yeah. They love their abortions, as they say. It's a huge, they're always saying, like, you shouldn't attempt to start a family at a young age. If you get pregnant, an abortion will solve that. You need to hold it off. You need to have your career. You need to get pregnant later on in life. That's kind of what we're encouraging to young women. So, which, is hugely a problem because it's so much harder to get pregnant when you're older. So that's a whole other thing. And then also the physical damage that abortion does cause, stopping women from being able to become pregnant again. That's another thing that you'll never hear the feminists talking about.
Because they don't care as well. They're not really. There's a certain amount of hypocrisy there. They say they care about women, but if you're encouraging, if feminism is going crazy in a country like it's starting to happen here, and more women buy into this idea, of not having kids till later, don't have children, you're going along with the patriarchy, and they keep putting it off, and then later, it's a little bit presumptuous to think, okay, now I'm 37. This is the year I've planned on having a child. Now it's going to happen. Life doesn't work that way.
No. Yeah, they're all, the best thing that you can do as a woman is try to be a man. So, and that's it's not going to work.
Yeah, that's one of your best quotes so far. I think I'll use.
Keeping track of quotable things.
I'll use that one. So we know, feminism is definitely a big role, and in the whole landscape there. And what about on the website, you've got some great examples of women who've been through different scenarios, unplanned pregnancies, and went ahead with it, and they're very happy about it. We talked about there was a great example of I think it was Louise talking about a situation where she was raped, and she had a very positive attitude towards it. She said, like you said, I'm not going to punish the child for something someone else did, and look on the positive. And there were some other scenarios as well, wasn't there? Tell us about some of those.
Yeah. On the website. So that's our Choose Life video series. And the first one that we did was Felicia, and we decided to do a video about her because her life was like every reason that people would think that she was the perfect candidate to get an abortion. She was young, she was homeless, she had grown up in a pretty brutal environment. She'd been abused as a young child. She was an addict when she became pregnant. She was, surviving by not doing the greatest things, and she became pregnant. And that pregnancy completely changed her life. She moved into a local maternity home, actually right here where I live, and they took her in. She was pretty rough around the edges when she got there. She quit her addictions, drugs and alcohol, cold turkey. She basically, for the first time, experienced living in a loving environment with people who, were really invested in her. And she learned and grew so much through her pregnancy, and then they were there with her when her baby was born. And she has just had a complete life change because of her child. And had she not had that baby, even she says, like, her life would be no different. She would probably still be on the street. She might be dead by now. You know, now she finished her high school at the maternity home. She's working on her college. She's got her own apartment. Her little girl she did just start school this year. So, like, she's doing amazing. And also she just got engaged this month, which is really cool. So, yeah. So her story is incredible and just really shows that you don't need an abortion to, you know, fix your unplanned pregnancy.
Yeah, and that's why, I think the website is great, because you do give these examples of you know, real people who can tell you their story in their own words,
right,
and talk about converting, you know, there being kind of light at the end of the tunnel. It doesn't have to all be kind of doom and gloom, and
right,
that's exactly how you have to do it. I think you have to focus on all of that to balance out the you know, the other side and what that will say.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about let me look for something here. So what kind of supports then do you think are the solutions to women who are, you know, in situations where they have an unplanned pregnancy? I mean, what kind of support do they need exactly?
Right. So here in Canada, we have a really extensive network of these pregnancy supports. So you've got the pregnancy resource centers, and these are centers where women can come in, get a free pregnancy test, talk about their options, and then if they choose adoption, the center will walk with them through that. If they choose parenting, they can then come in and take free stuff weekly, like diapers, formula, baby clothes, equipment, you know, strollers, all kinds of stuff. And it's all free. And they also offer free counseling and therapy. And then you've got the maternity homes, which are homes where women can come and live for free and be there while they're pregnant, and be there while they have a young child. And some can even stay up to 2 years in these homes, and then these homes help them, you know, find the next place that they're going to live and keep in contact with them. And then, of course, the adoption agencies. And then I'm just going by all the things we have in our database. The last thing that we have on there is the post-abortion recovery organization. So that's also a huge part of what we do. But yeah, so the pregnancy resource centers and the maternity homes, those are the big ones. Do you guys have those?
Yeah, we do, but I'm not sure how developed it is. You know, I don't think they're going to put any more money into it now. I know that you know, we've got adoption services and stuff like that, but I'm not sure how developed they are. I mean, with the adoption thing, it's like the you know, what excuse could a person give in a situation where, you know, if a woman is pregnant and the baby is perfectly healthy, and she just doesn't want the child at that particular time, or she's being coerced. Well, I suppose being coerced is different, but if it's down to her personal choice, there is always the option of going towards the adoption road, isn't there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I just wanted to mention as well, like, all these centers are not funded by our government. They're all funded by you know, donations and local churches and stuff. So the government pays for the abortions, but they won't pay for these services that will help women keep their babies. And yeah, adoption, I mean, there are so few women choosing adoption here. It's just not even really seen as an option. We're working on changing that. It's either abortion or parenting. And the adoption system here, I'm not sure how it is in Ireland, is so much better than it used to be. Like, now a woman can choose the family that is going to be getting the baby, and they can decide what kind of adoption plan they want, if it will be an open adoption or a closed adoption, if she'll get to see the child, if she'll get pictures, like basically whatever she wants, she can get, because so few babies are being placed for adoption here in Canada that they hold a lot of power in terms of who is going to be getting the baby. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a real shame as well, because especially when we can't trust the governments, they're going to be pro here it's getting particularly crazy with the so-called progressivism. They're going to promote abortion and stuff like that, and maybe not help the adoption side of things. And it's really sad that there's a lot of parents, couples out there who are dying to have children,
yes,
but they can't, and for whatever reason, and they would love to adopt. But the state isn't going to put those two together, because we would still have, you're making, two people happy there in that situation, two parties maybe. And even a mother who gives birth to a child and then gives the child up for adoption, she might at least, when as time goes by later, she might be ready to have some sort of a connection later on with the child. You know what I mean? Instead of just aborting a child and just having it out of your life. At least there's a second chance for the mother in that equation too.
Yeah. Well, there's no comparison between killing your child and choosing an adoptive family for your child. Yeah, it's no comparison. And even in terms of like her mental health. And I've seen the suffering, the really harsh suffering that women are now dealing with because they were basically lied to. And by the abortion clinics who told them it's just a clump of cells and all that kind of thing. And then they since found out that they killed their child, and that's a huge guilt that they're living with. So, it's really messed up.
Yeah, it must be very frustrating for you to deal with that as well, because you're aware of what's going on. You understand the legal side of it, and you understand how much of a problem it is, and that it needs to be merged. And then, of course, as well, feminism isn't going to acknowledge the adoption side of it. Even the act of giving birth at all is a crying shame, and you're just going along with the patriarchy.
Right.
It makes sense, but let's look at it from a more philosophical point of view, I suppose, because there's many reasons maybe why a woman would not want to have a child. One of them that's brought up as well, that's kind of connected in, is feminism pushing the have a career, be a strong independent woman, and things like that. And this is just my personal take on it. I don't think that there is any job that a woman can do that's more noble and more of a test of her character and strength than being a parent. And I don't mean that in a wishy-washy sort of silly way at all. Not at all. And it's not an insult to women or even career women at all. I just think that's how important being a mother is. It's right up there. And so what's your take on that?
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, I think it is like the most important job, and it's looked down on, which is crazy. So that's another thing that we're trying to change here, is just the view of mothers, really, because there's all these, just like you say, like these feminists that don't want people to be giving up their careers and raising children, but it is the most important job.
Yeah, and you can't, that's the side of it that's not looked at, is the importance of it, and I suppose the happiness that it can bring someone, of being in charge of another little being almost, who you have to, teach them to get through life and all of this stuff. And I mean, God, when I hear people talking about prioritizing a career over that, I'm like, doing what? And what particular job can you do that's more important than this,
Yeah.
Maybe it's a freedom thing as well. Do you think that maybe... having a child is obviously a responsibility, and it maybe affects how you do things. You can't go and say travel the world or whatever.
Yeah.
It changes how your life rolls, and I think that's a part of factor to it as well.
Yeah, well, for sure, changes everything, and it does make it a lot harder. It is hard, and that's something that just popped into my mind. Is I've got a message from a woman who wants to get an abortion because now a vacation opportunity has come up, and she's 3 months and she's going to get an abortion because she really wants to go on this vacation, and then when she gets back she's going to try to get pregnant again. And like there's no value for human life here.
Wow, it's pretty because well, then it's definitely part of the culture. Then stuff like that just seems kind of normal and everyday stuff. And then I think there's a real sheep behavior component to this, and that's what you're up against in Canada. The sheep mentality, where people just go along with what's normal. And if abortion is a big part of the culture, then you're going to have to change the culture and change the mindset.
Well, that's exactly what we're trying to do. So we're not involved really on the political front. There's other organizations doing that. And we are just out there trying to get people talking about it and trying to change the culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, another part as well, and the feminists would kill me for saying this, but there's clearly differences between. I love having a go with the feminists.
I noticed.
there's clearly, we're riddled with them here, but there's another component is the I mean the radical feminists, of course. I don't mean like classical feminism and having basic rights and people being treated fairly, of course. But this whole over the top stuff is not good. But so this
is a bad time to tell you I'm a feminist.
Oh, really?
No.
Okay, bye. I knew you were going to do that. I was like, see you. Right,
sorry.
Bye.
Oh, yeah, ouch. Okay, sorry there.
The responsibility thing, because obviously having kids for women is the privilege. It's a privilege that women have that men don't, is being able to give birth. But there's also a responsibility as well, because not having, that's what in one of your videos is about, was it My Body, My Choice, that's selfish kind of component to the whole thing about parenting. It's like having kids is also not just a privilege, it's also a responsibility, because if women aren't willing to have children and those numbers drop too much, then we can just pack everything in.
Well, yeah, there you go.
Is that ever talked about there? No?
Not really, no.
Yeah, you won't ever hear anyone saying that like, it's without people, reproduction is good. It keeps society moving. Without that,
Well, yeah, like we are as well bringing in so many immigrants, right, to keep the population up, because we're not having as many babies as we had before. So, but it's not in any way connected by the mainstream media to abortion. It's all about, bringing in refugees.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's part of it as well. We've got the same thing going on here. And well, for those of us who are aware of what's going on a bigger picture level, then it's not a stretch of the imagination to see what they're up to exactly. And in Europe here, we are... feminism is just part of it, but there is a changing birth rates here in Europe, and the abortion thing was they had to make Ireland come into line with the rest of Western countries, because I think it was the last one who didn't have it legal thanks to the religious aspect, and now they're just trying to make it all kind of equal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was really sad to hear. Oh, we got accused of trying to sway the Irish referendum. That was like one of our mainstream moments, where the local CBC called me saying, "Why are you trying to influence the Irish referendum?" And I was like, "What?" And it was actually that video that you just mentioned, the My Body, My Choice video, apparently was circulating Ireland because it was relevant, I guess, to what was going on. And so they were asking, like, why did you make this video to sway the Irish referendum? And I was like, well, we didn't, but cool that it's over there. But yeah, it was really, really disappointing to hear when that happened.
Was that American news that went after you, Laura? Was that American CBS, you said, who called you about it? Or?
No, that was CBC. That's a Canadian one.
Oh, sorry. Okay. That's mad. They found out about that. This is like they're talking borderline spy stuff, and they were accusing the Russians of meddling in American elections. That's what this sounds like a little bit. Like you're like a shady spy organization, and like, this is typical Laura Klassen day. Like she wakes up in the morning and goes, which country can I take over now? And
well, I know it was really out of the blue. And so, yeah I just remember that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had the well, you know, I was paying attention to the referendum, and I knew what they were going to do before they did it. This has kind of been in the pipeline for many years now. The whole trying to get abortion legalized here, and they did it in various stepping stones. And it was actually a catalyst event, which happens quite a lot with these big political changes. There was a woman who died in the west of Ireland in a Galway city. It's more like a town, but it's called a city. But she died there because of I think she had a septic miscarriage, I think.
Yeah.
And she requested an abortion, but they wouldn't give it to her because this is how mental things are here. Typical backwards Ireland. There was a law about for medical professionals, if they induce an abortion without the mother being in danger of dying or whatever, they could end up serving life in prison. And I mean, and the law was something like from the 1860 Offences Against the Person Act is in a British law, and that's how. So what happened then was she died, and then of course the feminist groups jumped on that and said, "See, that's what happens when you don't have abortion." And it was this catalyst kind of event. But how did things happen over there then when they legalized it? I mean, you said it was 69 when it came in, but was there kind of was there a build up to demand for it over there before it happened, or did it just come out of the blue?
Yeah, well, in '88, when the laws were struck down, there was a Dr. Morgenthaler who was performing abortions illegally and doing a lot of them. And he's the one that kind of spearheaded the whole thing in '88, saying, you know, this women need to be able to have access to abortion, and it came through because of him.
Mm. Yeah. Well, so I think we're kind of coming to the end here almost, and let's see if there's anything else I got to ask you. I think that's pretty much it. But I just wanted to say, I think you're doing a great job over there. I think it's a really noble cause, and you know, maybe they'll try and get some organization like yours happening here. There obviously isn't pro-life groups here, but they're quite, you know, they've been, you know, kind of, you know, obviously attacked a lot by the state, and I don't know how their morale is, but they could definitely use kind of a boost and maybe a new direction. So, you know, if ever you want to, you know, take over the country, you know, the with Choice for Two, you're more than welcome. Like,
awesome.
Pull a few strings or whatever.
Excellent. I've got permission from you to take over Ireland.
Yeah, exactly. I'm all that matters here, so that's good.
Excellent.
Cool. Well, thanks for your time, Laura. It's been really great, and yeah, best of luck with everything else.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Thank you. Thanks for watching Resolving Reality. That was my interview with Laura Klassen, the founder and director of a Canadian pro-life organisation called Choice for Two. Their website is choicefor2.com. Make sure you check that out for more information, videos, and their social media profiles. And make sure you check out their YouTube channel for those videos starring Laura Klassen herself. We have more video interviews on the way soon, and you can support Resolving Reality by making sure you like and comment and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you visit our website, resolvingreality.com, for all of our links and social media profiles, and have a listen to the Resolving Reality radio podcasts as well. Once again, thanks for watching. Until next time, and enjoy Resolving Reality.